At this point, I'd like to call to order the 3 p.m. Old Colony Planning Council Personnel Committee meeting for February 5th, 2025. At this point, I'd like to read the accessibility statement. Thank you. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon advance request. If you'd like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833. The Notice of Non-Discrimination Rights and Protections to Beneficiaries with regard to Federal Title VI non-discrimination protections and in the state non-discrimination protections is posted in this meeting room and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 for more information. Thank you. And I think we'll do as far as we can until we come up to a point where we need an actionable item to be voted on.
Yes.
So I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Yes, Stephen Santisonio,
Present.
Sandra Wright,
Present.
thank you. And I know Lee Hartman's going to be joining soon, but for staff, Charlie Kilmer, Mary Waldron, and Brenda Robeson. Megan Fournier as well.
So at this point, are we at a sort of a standstill until Lee joins?
We are,
Okay.
but what I would recommend, if I could, for time's sake, Megan, can we go to the review of the handbook, the recommendations, since we sent that out in advance? If I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Yes. I'd like to point out that
That's the minutes.
I really like what you did with the meeting, the opening statement, putting it on that nice OCPC letterhead.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's,
Thanks,
you're
Stephen.
you're the second person to say that, Stephen, so it's been a nice change for this year. So these are the, their numbers, they were sent out in advance. If I could just take away the clarifying expenses, there was some ambiguity. We had a statement about that the origin of, for a staff member to provide for their expenses from 70 School Street, but there are some staff who live closer to a location, so we have language in here that whichever one is closer. And we do have Lee Hartman, that's who has joined us. So just to confirm, you do now have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Lee, for joining.
So I think that is the language, the to and the from, I think to differentiate. The second one is a reimbursement for Uber work and related needs prior approval is needed. We've had a couple instances that this is, whether it's out of need, car repairs, or whatever. We needed to confine because we had a staff member who had put in for a private car, which was very expensive. So we just needed to put some parameters on this, and we're suggesting that, as you can see in the B, I can't read that because I'm too far away. But
I can read it if you want.
because all the members, you received this, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And then I can just go from the next one is clarifying
actually,
hours.
Can
Go
I just make a quick comment on the reimbursement for Uber?
Yes,
Just for what I do at work, where I am is, I mean, we have a reasonable amount of tip that we can give that the company will reimburse us, and anything above and beyond. Say if you tip 10-20%, if you want to give them 25, you can throw an extra, say $5, whatever the case may be, out of your own pocket versus, making I'm just throwing that out there,
yeah. Megan did do some research on this, and Charlie also actually went to Mass Dot just to get some clarifying language. I think at this point, we're looking, we obviously understand that Uber is a mode of transportation for some employees, and we just want to make sure there's some pieces of that are covered. So
We
Megan,
just discussed that it was cleaner as well, because some of their, if it's technically being billed to like a grant, what's allowable, what's
Okay.
not, and rather than saying, yes, you can versus you can't, it kind of,
Okay.
we figured it would be a cleaner
Okay.
approach and more consistent.
Okay.
And what I would recommend, we will test the waters out this year, and we'll come back to you to see how this process is working.
Okay.
And do we need to make it, I'm sorry, do we need to make it, do we need to make it clear this is not to and from work? This is for travel beyond your typical travel time in and out. I'm just not just an observation. I don't really care, but I wouldn't want somebody to think that they can get Uber to go back and forth to the building versus using it to go to Plymouth or, Duxbury. Just a thought.
Nope,
I'm
it's a good thought, and
seeing
I'm
what
trying-
section it's in to see if that clarifies it. 1 second,
Charlie?
sorry.
Yeah, that actually kind of came up, and because we wanted to be careful that this won't become the modus operandi that people will be doing this every day. In lieu of using their own vehicle, if they
Hmm.
could. It came up because there were some people that had driving limitations.
Hmm.
So they had to take an alternative mode of transportation, and that's why the first were taken.
it is not the norm, but it is certainly that has come up.
Mm.
So to Lee's comment, I would, it has not necessarily been an issue, but I think that unless that staff person has said, this is due to a disability, because right now that has not really been identified. What I would, recommend is that we take that and monitor it, and if we need to, see that changed, unless. Megan, do you have the bylaws up by any chance?
The handbook, yeah, it's right here.
The handbook for where this is, and just, because it will
Yep,
be.
it's right here.
Yeah, just my observation as somebody who does this in my job, the consequences of having a accident that's not your fault for work related, for your own personal car is really big. So it is a burden that you put. I would never take my own town car unless I have to drive to Brockton to a Brockton meeting. I always take a town car just because if something happens and it's my personal car, there's a huge additional expense I'm incurring for doing something on work-related hours. Again, just another observation from somebody
Yeah,
who does
no.
this. And actually,
That's-
last time I went to Brockton, I took my own car and scratched the living crap out of the front calling. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Geez. So noted,
And
Can
again, that's
I-
what you guys have done forever. It's just an
Yeah.
observation.
but it's a good observation. I don't think that we have done enough of the research on that, but we should, if, I'm just looking right what we have here.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a clarifying note that this is travel outside of regular
Or it's like for non-routine travel.
for
And
non.
that's what you've done already. So it's not like you have to change it today. Just
Yeah.
observations. That's all.
Yep.
Well,
Thank you,
and we
Lee.
have it based on it has to be a prior approval, so I mean,
Correct.
it's still gonna be a conversation ahead of time.
All right. So there might be things just to consider. That's all. Just observations.
Nope, thank you. I think that's
Well,
helpful.
What happens if someone, their intention is to take their own car, but, they go in and try to start, it doesn't start, so you kind of really don't have an option where you can try to look around for the best, lowest option available, lowest price. Sometimes just an Uber is the quickest, it may not be the cheapest, but it's the quickest and it gets you from point A to point B.
Everybody has Mary's cell phone.
Yeah.
Everybody has Mary's cell.
Yeah,
So they could call her and say, hey,
yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
yeah.
What happens when Mary's car doesn't start? But but I think that the point, we will, it has been the practice. We have some rails on it in terms of when traveling. But I do think there's some further clarification at some point we may need to do, and I would say, let's put that in the parking lot. For the next time around, but as we monitor to see if it's going to be an issue along the way. But thank you, Lee. The next item, Megan, on the list.
Number 3.
Oh, right, the full-time, clarifying full-time work hours. So this became a little bit of some wordsmithing, but then the additional time beyond the 35 hours may be required. An employee may seek alternative schedules with prior approval from the manager. We need some consistency throughout the organization. This will help us just say, we are salaried. If you put in more hours, that is, but certainly sometimes some people put in a whole weekend of work because of some of the nature. So that would be determined, from my perspective, be determined between the manager and the employee about alternative work hours.
So why wouldn't you reserve that as a management right versus an employee's option to seek? Why wouldn't it be reversed and just say the employee may allow versus an employer may allow versus the employee may seek? I mean, I think you want to keep it as a management right to allow it versus having
Yeah.
an employee asking for it.
Yeah.
They could
that
ask
makes
for it. That
sense.
might be informally how it starts, but I think it's a management right to allow it. And so
Yeah.
it probably says the employer may allow. That probably starts with them coming in and saying, Mary, can I work for the weekend? But
Right.
that's different than who has the authority.
Right.
Well, I think
So-
that that would have to be approved first, that they're gonna be doing certain hours on the weekend.
Oh, no, this says it has to be approved. I'm just saying that it probably should be a management right to say that you can authorize it versus an employee's right to seek it.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
Right,
I think the end, it all works the same, but
same,
for a
but-
written document, I think you want to keep it as management rights.
Correct, because it's coming from OCPC, not the employee.
Correct, that's right.
right.
Well, we call it the employee handbook. It really is a management handbook, so
Yep.
we will resmith that, wordsmith that section.
And I think it's,
and-
yeah, I think it's simple. The employer
Yep.
may allow.
Yep,
That's all.
yep,
Or you could even say at the request, but just the employer may allow.
thank you, Lee. I'm fine with that, and I think to your point, it achieves the same thing.
Yep.
And then number 4, this has come up a little bit more frequently, and I actually had a situation where someone approached me, just say, want to take a mental health day, and I was looking at our document, and it really wasn't quite clear, and we ended up having the employee said, well, can I just take a vacation day? I said, of course you can. But it prompted me, and I had this on the parking lot for further definition, so we came up with language that just says to care for the employee's wellness by actively engaging in self-care activities to manage mental health issues like relation techniques, spending time with
Relaxation, that's the word I meant to say.
relaxation.
Oh.
Okay, that's okay. It really has, it has been more frequent than before COVID, I would say. Not that it didn't exist, but the one's mental health is important to us, and we wanted to make sure that it was seen as a way that they can take some sick days. Now, if they take more than 3 days, they still need a doctor's note and all of those other protocols in place. But this would give a little bit of guidance, at least I know it for me, and I know for some of the other management, that the use of sick time would be allowed for that.
And then when they run out of sick time and they still need the mental health, what do?
Vacation day or?
Vacation, that's
Or you
correct.
go on unpaid leave if it's
That's
family
correct.
medical.
Yeah.
FMLA or,
FMLA, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but you
if they apply for FMLA, I mean, it's not an automatic for that. They have
Right.
to
Yeah,
petition the
approved.
state and what have you.
Right.
Yep, correct.
Having just gone
Um,
through that, I know there's a whole process that goes through that, you know?
There is.
So for me,
So-
that language looks fine.
Thank you. And then Megan, do we have this right? Oh, we have,
We were just clarifying the longevity. It supposedly came up when nope, that goes to the next one. But staff were, some people were like, oh, like for every 5 years they've been there or something like that, they get
Multiple
5 years, right,
Yeah.
Charlie? And so this clarifies, this is, at the end, it says, on the sequential 5th anniversary date, it just clarifies.
A one-time bonus on that date, and that's it, based on their
Correct.
salary, based
That- and
whatever
then-
that salary is on their
that
date,
whatever
right?
this-
Right.
That's correct, yep.
Right.
So is it built into their base after that? Is it just
No.
3% for 1 year and then it goes
It is-
back down?
1 year and then it goes back down.
And I hate to ask the question, but do you have a definition of good standing?
I guess
Mhm.
my silence says no.
So, I mean, you say good standing, you may need to try to figure out what the hell that means somehow. And again, I don't want to go down that rabbit
Oh,
hole
yeah,
today,
okay.
but
But
Steph-
if
I would
someone's
say it
on
would
warning
relate-
you,
I would take it out.
yeah,
yeah, that's okay. I don't mind either way, but I look
No.
at that and say, well, what the heck is good standing?
Yeah, we do not have it defined, I'm telling right now, but,
So
yeah,
take it out.
good standing means someone who's probably not on warning or a performance plan or
That's-
something, you know?
Yeah.
what I
Well,
was-
if you want to do that, then define it. If not,
Yeah, I know, no, I
get-
agree. I
get it
just,
out.
that's,
But then
Oh.
you'd have to have documentation of some sort that they
Correct.
haven't, achieved or done their job.
that's right.
So you can think
So-
about it. So I think the consensus is either you remove is good standing in A and B, or you
Yep.
define it.
I would recommend, to you as council members to remove
Mm.
in good standing.
I agree.
I agree.
Mary, sorry, just Stephen came up with it when he said, one time. I'm wondering if we should add that into the wording so it's a little bit more clear, because then Lee had the follow-up question of, so it does kind of sound like, I mean, it's a bonus typically is one time, but I think if we say OCPC will provide a one-time 3% bonus,
You could, and even if it says bonus, 3% bonus based on the current salary instead of the current salary based. I don't know, like. Yeah, somehow you gotta make it clear it's a one-timer.
Yeah, if you paid a bonus every year, it's really, it doesn't, you don't need to explain it, you just get it every year, but like, I think people may read too much into it and think they.
But- But with Lee's follow-up question, that would say, okay, so is it part of my salary going forward? So, I think perhaps we would say, we'll provide a 3% bonus for every 5 years.
Or what about something that says a cash payment equivalent to a 3%? Equivalent to
not-
3%.
And then you're getting into something that maybe not pensionable.
Yep. Well,
But this,
yeah, I don't know.
And do
I mean, it
people,
doesn't,
we'll provide a one-time 3% bonus for every 5 years.
Yeah.
A staff is member.
But
Do you need
but
to-
then again, I think you could have somebody there, and I don't want to get in, but there's a lot of different black areas here, dark areas, where you could give somebody who's on the cusp of really not a good worker. And then if you get rid of them in the next year, they could come back and say, well, I got a 3% because I did such a fantastic job. And it didn't say, or I didn't have anything in my record saying that I was not a good worker. So I think you have to be careful of that. I think really what you need to identify is good standing.
Yeah, no, we're gonna take the good standing out, Sandy. The whole, that whole thing. this
so
is
it's
provided-
longevity based on years only, doesn't matter about performance.
it's ambiguous,
Okay.
though.
I
Okay.
still think that language has to make it clear that it's a one-time payment, because even if you say whatever you worded it, Mary, I look at that bonus of the current base salary, just to me screams you're adding it to my base.
Hmm.
You're not doing it. It's just got to make it really clear it's a
Yeah,
one-time payment.
okay, so just so it's clear for us, our intention is, so it is. It's on a schedule. But that it is for every 5 years that a staff member is employed at OCPC. They would receive a 3% of their salary just that 1 year and not
Yeah.
be added on, and we'll get
Yeah.
that language cleared out.
Do you
So
need to
it-
put, do you need to put like an asterisk anywhere to tell people that
Hmm.
bonuses are taxed differently?
oh, we did talk about that, yeah.
So could you give,
They take taxes out.
Like, yeah, but it's like at 40% or something in the private sector, it's like 40, like when I get my bonus in a month for now, they'll tax it at 40%, not at, say, 20%, so.
Well, this is,
so this is a one-time bonus. So
Yes.
if,
Get it every
if,
5 years.
right, so can you give them a separate check or like a bonus for the 3%? That way it's not in their pay every week and it's not, like I said, it's
Yeah,
not
That's what
pensionable.
we do. That's what we do, Sandy. So I received mine back in December for my 5 years.
Okay,
And it was an amount that then, what I thought it was, but then taxes were taken out. But it's a separate direct deposit that went right into my account.
gotcha. Okay.
And I
So-
won't, and I won't see another one for another 5 more years.
But what were you
Okay.
taxed at? Like, do you know what tax rate you were taxed at?
I am not a
It
clue.
was just,
Okay,
it was
all right. I
the
mean,
regular
it-
rate.
Yes, some people, you mean it would like say whatever they were taxed on their regular salary, that's
Yeah.
what they get for
Right,
their
Brenda?
bonus? Okay.
I think,
Brendan's
Brenda, that's-
usually taxed at 40%, my husband, when he's
you-
gotten his bonuses.
Same
Can
with me,
anyone hear
yeah.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Brenda,
Yeah.
I
can hear you,
All right,
Brenda.
I'm like, I'm completely I can't see my screen. It doesn't even indicate that I'm in here. So this is the
Mhm.
first time I've
We-
opened my mouth. But anyway, the
we-
bonuses are taxed at just at the regular rate. We don't change the percentage on the amounts at all.
So Mary, maybe what you do is clear up the language on this and then give an example.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
80,000 times 3%,
That's fair.
one-time
But-
payment of,
Hmm.
and an example after it might help to clarify it.
We could do that.
Hmm.
And I think that's the only way for it, whether it's a council member or whether it's a staff member, so there's expectations of what they're receiving, so what.
Oh, the
just-
council members get this too?
No, no.
Well, what's
That's
3% of zero?
So 0 times 3 is what?
We
Yeah,
get-
so council members probably can get it.
So,
We're
so
getting
what,
double the amount we got last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what does happen is that there is a communication, there's a memo that comes from me to the employee. And it spells out when they're gonna get it and how much it's gonna be. And the managers are included on that, along with fiscal, so. There is really no, there should be none with that memo, but to the point of an example in here, so if one is picking it up and they can take a look at it.
So
Now
to
is-
the chair, I think what I would recommend that we find that in concept, we find this good, but just send us, like we did with the other, the bylaw change, send us the language. And
Yeah.
if one of us has an issue, we can report back and reconvene and talk about it. But again, I think you know what we want, so just give us the revised language. If somebody has an issue, they can contact Mary, and then we can reconvene and talk about it some more. Sound good,
Thank you.
Steve?
That sounds good, yes, Lee. And then my question is, I mean, just to Brenda, you said you taxed them at the regular rate. Is that legal? I mean, it's to Megan's point, and my point, her husband gets taxed to 40, I get taxed 40, so I think and I get a separate W-2 for my bonus because it reflects a different tax rate. So I
Well-
just didn't, I don't know how, if you're doing it as,
Well, the thing is
Right.
these bonuses are not thousands and thousands of dollars. They're just 3%. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I
3%
just
of 80,000
haven't-
is,
yeah,
2,400, it's still,
yeah.
I mean.
I
Mary's
mean,
was a
I
lot more.
honestly, the answer to your question is I don't know. we never discussed the legality
I
of,
don't think it's the amount,
changing-
I think it's the
yeah.
rate, I mean, it's.
yeah.
The payroll company. would
Yeah.
Yeah,
pick
it
up.
goes to it goes to the payroll system and we
Mhm.
don't, it's like the taxes are already
Okay.
set in there. Now, what we can do is I
Mm.
can set it to tax it as if this amount was paid over a 2-week period, which would change the amount of taxes that were taken out.
Right, I'm just,
But
it's
we've
just
never-
something that, because if these people doing their taxes and someone says, is this a bonus? And you only got taxed X amount, and you should have been taxed more, that may come back to bite them, so. At tax time, I'm just talking from the private sector, it might be different in the, in the public sector, but I'm just throwing it out there, I mean, so.
Brenda, can you check with Harper's for us, just as a follow-up to Stephen's question? They're our payroll system, they would know. Oops, you're muted.
Randy, you on mute?
I'll have Brenda do that. Okay,
Okay,
so I will follow, Lee's suggestion to the chair and we'll give examples, get that sent out, and if there's any concerns, get back to me of that. The retirement language on process procedures, benefits, employees step versus OCPC. was this for actionable items, Megan? Megan, you're muted.
Sorry, I thought so, but
I think
I'm,
these are,
this was basically we were talking about the language that needs to be kind of provided to provide assistance towards staff who are retiring so they
Oh.
know.
I'm sorry, thank you. Yes, so with our employee handbook, this is just guidance for our employees on GIC, if they're planning to retire, to give ample notice. They can, they don't, I mean, but we're looking to, I think we can request that they give us advance written notice, but I don't think it's mandatory by any law that they have to. But employees just to contact, it's the employee's responsibility to contact the fiscal office, and then it just spells it out a little bit more. If an employee is looking to retire, the onus is on them to do some of the background work.
Hmm.
And then we just give them the links in the handbook.
Is there a typical time that as soon as the person tells you they're retiring till that you get everything ready for them, what they have coming to them, whatever? Or-
I don't think that takes it that much, since we do the accruals on a monthly basis, and we
Mhm.
really have a pretty
Mhm.
quick, we can get a pretty quick understanding through Brenda or Sean. I think there's some common how to call it, guidance, I guess, to give, I mean, Lila's retiring, right? And that just came up this past week. She's giving us 4 months,
Sure.
right? Because it's gonna take that amount of time to do all the different kind of replacements. So we just never came up with a time, did we, Megan, in terms of
No,
weeks?
I had put it because I wasn't sure. I kind of did it, and we didn't have to be weeks. I was basing it off of when somebody is resigning. So we put that in there just so that we do have notice when possible,
Which is 30
um,
days, yeah.
30 days.
The only thing that OCPC requests is an interesting way to word it. I would just say, whatever it is, 30-day written notice of intention to retire is required, not OCPC requests. That's a little unusual wording. So I just say, whatever it is, 30 days written notice of intention to retire is required.
Okay. Thanks, Lee. And the rest of this is,
Will someone come back and say what happens if I don't? I mean, or is that?
Well,
Yeah,
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 but at
So-
least it puts them on notice.
yeah, so.
and it's consistent. with-
Because it might be a case where Mary wants to get rid of them and is happy to do it in 2 days.
Yeah.
You seeing this in
Yeah.
one note. So we'll change that first line. The rest of it is just guidance.
Yep.
Again, to make it clear that it's these employees' responsibilities to do the paperwork, that they need to do the follow-up.
Sounds good.
So Megan, we have this, Right Technology created this computer information systems policy and procedures. It's pretty in-depth. And what we just wanted to do is to make sure it just, responsibilities, but since we have phones and laptops, did we send that to
Yes,
the council?
That got
Okay.
sent, that was in the meeting invite and in the most recent reminder email, but I also have it here. A lot of, it's 8 pages.
Yeah, we're
It's-
good.
it's-
We're good.
Good, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. So we just want to make sure it gets
Yep.
added to the addendum,
Yep.
okay. And then lastly,
So I'm sorry though, why does it say move to adopt? Should we just say it's incorporated, hereby
We can.
incorporated?
we can, if it's being, what's that?
Yeah, because it's an addendum,
Correct, it's an addendum.
Yeah, so I
So
just
we
think
can-
you just say the computer procedures are hereby incorporated into this
Into-
document, see
Correct.
appendix, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, thank you for this, Lee, and then, review and vetted items be added with plans to define, during the next meeting, Are we taking this up right now, Megan?
No, I mean, these are just items that we've talked about that we know we need to do a little bit
Yeah,
more
I-
research on what we'd like to put in.
And I'm just gonna do just a high level and no actions taken on these. Again, there's some efforts in-house to do green team and, so Megan had included that in your document, just overview, and then the others is the charitable work. Internally, we had some discussions, we still need to do some work on this. I want to be able to get the flexibility if someone wants to give blood, or if there's a BAMSI event with packing bags. They can do it during OCPC time, but trying to come up with a qualitative time, time is money.
Mm.
So I didn't want to say, hey, yeah, for hour, you get time off. Well, someone could do a whole week worth, right?
So you'll come back with 8 and 9 at a future date?
Right, yes, correct.
Yeah.
So 89, yep.
So with the chairman's permission, I'll move to make the recommendation to the council that we adopt the other changes with the caveat that you have a couple of language things to work on that you'll send to us. And provided we have no objections to those changes, that we bring it to the full council. If we do, then we'll call a special meeting of this group to review it again.
I'll second that.
Thanks you. And Mary, can we have a vote? A roll call?
Stephen Santusonio,
Accept?
Lee Hartman,
Accept.
and Sandy Wright.
Accept.
And,
Thank you, everybody.
And I think we also have to have an
Oh, minutes.
for the May
minutes.
24th personnel committee meetings as well. So can I have a motion to accept the May 2024 personnel committee
So
committee
moved.
meeting minutes?
Second.
Stephen
Mary.
Santusonio,
Accept?
Lee Hartman,
Accept.
and Sandy Wright.
Accept.
Okay.
Oh, the sun is in my eyes.
Well, So I think that brings us down to, I think we skipped a couple items. We went from 4 to 6 to 8.
Oh, we did.
So,
Math,
no, I don't know if that was a.
That was
you
a
hit-
scrivener's
you
error.
hit some lines or whatever.
that's
was
all
missing.
me.
Okay, so I think.
Move
that
to
that's,
adjourn.
So I can move to adjourn. Thank you, Lee. Second, okay. So at
Thank
this
you,
point, we can
everybody.
just. show
And
of
I
hands.
apologize for being a little late.
No
to many
problem.
meetings.
That's okay.
Thank
No
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Good
Thank
meeting.
you. Be
Thank
safe
you.
tomorrow.
Bye,
Bye-bye
guys.
now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.